Welcome to Business Talk, the online talk series where we delve into the world of business and entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Michael Avery, and today we've got a very special guest joining us, Pieter Bensch, the Executive Vice President for Sage in Africa and the Middle East. Now, Pieter is responsible for growing Sage's businesses across the region and executing on a vision of disrupting and leading the market for cloud-based payroll and accounting solutions, and has almost 3 decades experience now. You wouldn't say so? Just a little bit of salt and pepper around the edges there. Pieter, great to have you on Business Talk.
Good morning, Michael. Thank you for the invitation. It's great to speak with you.
And today we're speaking about how we can help SMEs in this world where they're grappling with load shedding, with the low growth economy. And so I think any little bit that an SME can get in terms of helping them with their business is welcome. So let's dive in, because Sage recently conducted a research study called Small Business Big Opportunity, SBBO, on South African small and medium-sized enterprises. Can you just elaborate more on the objectives of the research and why it's so important right now?
So it's important for us, let's say this is the second year we're doing this, and last year we had quite good insights. So this year we decided to repeat that. Sage is the market leader in this region and operate in many other international regions. So this survey was done for 12,000 SMBs across 9 markets, including US, UK, Germany, France, Spain. And it's mostly to gauge business confidence. What are SMBs' level of business confidence in these markets? Also to uncover some of the tech trends and insights for 2023. What are we looking forward to? And then to identify any potential risks if no action is taken for SMBs. What would risks be? But what's important, what came across for me is that there's 3 differences between South African SMBs versus the rest of the world. I will dive into that in some detail, but South African SMBs are more resilient. They raise cost as a bigger issue than the rest of the world, and they invest less in technology.
Well, that is surprising, given that technology can help you bring down costs if you're using it in the right way. But equally, I think there's a big opportunity there for SMBs. And on the point of resilience, I always say, chatting to the entrepreneurs that I do on the show, that if you can start and build and grow and survive in the South African market, you can probably build a business anywhere on earth. Now, despite the challenges, as you say, that are being faced by SMBs in South Africa, what really stood out for me was the levels of business confidence. I thought the business confidence might be lower, just given the operating environment. Could you just provide some more detail on some of the key findings of the survey that really support this conclusion?
A great observation there, Michael. And I would have thought the same, given last year 76% of businesses felt that they will be successful in 2022, which changed to 83% in this survey for 2023. So 83% of the businesses think that they will be successful over the next 12 months. Now that's quite incredible, given that 41% of them say that they are finding ways to work more efficiently and effectively through their business. And amazingly, 54% of them say that they'll have an incremental revenue streams in 2023. And even 42% of them say they're going to increase their workforce. Now that's quite interesting if you understand the economy that South African SMBs have to work in. Load shedding, or the power crisis, the inflation, we know which way that is heading. The recent interest rate changes has really become a hamper on business. So seeing that difference is quite encouraging, and the increased productivity is also faced with citing inflation as a drag on their businesses. 77% of these SMBs say that inflation is a drag on their businesses. But even more interesting is 81 and 80% is in Cape Town and Johannesburg, apologies. So Durban not as much affected, which is interesting, given that these challenges are across the country, not only in certain regions, but certainly SMBs in Cape Town and Johannesburg feel that inflation is a bigger drag on their business.
Yeah, and do you know what? It goes to the heart of being an entrepreneur. I think entrepreneurs are naturally more optimistic and tend to cut out a lot of the political noise and just focus on what they can control. And clearly, as a technology innovator, Sage provides software solutions for SMBs that are well known around the markets in which you operate, HR and payroll to accounting and finance solutions. So how does having access to these kinds of insights that you do have access through surveys like this, firstly, how does it help you as Sage better service that addressable market? And secondly, how does this benefit SMBs?
So it benefits SMBs because it's important for us to understand when we develop a product, what is in the product to make SMBs function more effectively. And we see that SMBs are focusing on efficiency more and more. So how do we help them? And these with existing investments, how do we help them use their products or develop the products in such a way that they can automate or better run their businesses and focus more on the important things in business so that the payroll and the accounting system can take care of itself, so to speak, with all the automations we can build in there. But 47% of them in South Africa say that they're going to increase their technology investment, which is quite interesting. Although we see the budget's going up by 14% for them, but 47% say they intend to increase their technology investment, which is encouraging. The areas they want to increase in is even more encouraging or insightful. 5G, 23% of them say that they were going to invest in 5G, and 21% artificial intelligence, and then 19% in robotics. And I think the reason 5G is so high up the list is because of connectivity, especially with all the load shedding and power crises we have. Having better connectivity, and therefore the increase in investment in 5G, I would assume is the reason. But again, 14% of them will increase their technology investment. So this tells us we need to also be more aggressive in the way we tell or market to SMBs and how technology can help their businesses. But I can also understand if you are an SMB in South Africa, where do you put your first priority in investment? Today is getting off the grid or finding an alternative power solution. And I think that's where we see a decrease or not as bigger increase in technology investment as we see in the rest of the world. Their first priority is not finding a power solution, whereas in South Africa, the SMBs have to, firstly, if I don't have power, I can't operate. So investment's going there first.
Yeah. And what one can understand, I mean, even in the listed space, we're in the midst of earnings season at the moment, and without fail, every single earnings announcement has been accompanied by a significant slug of investment that is either being taken away from a dividend or capex in other areas of the business and being funneled into just keeping the lights on to keep those mission critical systems going. But once you've done that, once you've built that resilience into your business, then it does come back to investing in technology, investing in things like HR and payroll, and having the ability in the cloud now to have management accounts that help you make better decisions. And it's really encouraging to hear that is at least on the agenda for businesses. And I think not surprising to see AI up there. It seems every time I go out or I go online nowadays, everyone's talking about ChatGPT-4 and how this is going to change the role of all of us in business. So very interesting. But if you consider all of this, if you consider also the turbulent macro conditions, and you mentioned it, Lady R, the blowout in the rand, and the effects of load shedding, how do you think the government can support SMBs in navigating these challenges? If you were to zoom out and say, well, government's got a role to play here because SMBs are so critically important to the South African economy.
Well, if I be honest, I think firstly, most of us have become less excited of waiting for the State of a Nation address because a lot has been said there doesn't happen. But we need to understand that SMBs are crucial to the communities. They function in central roles in the communities. They are one of the largest employers and job creators in the country if you add them up. So they are the foundation for the economy, in my view. And government never puts it in that way or thinks about it in that way. It's always, what about the departments first, or how do we fix the power lines? How do we fix the ecosystem for SMBs? But it is, if all of that works, SMBs can function better. If the home affairs works, if the safety and security is improved, everything adds up to SMBs able to function better. So government has to put SMBs first. I think we have, and that doesn't mean they have to invest in SMBs. It means they have to create the ecosystem for SMBs to function better. So we have a long way to go. So for now, we look at the private sector to help the SMBs and make sure that we put SMBs in front of what we do. They are the easier job creators. They are really close to communities and a big contributor to our economy. And from a SAGE point of view, we want to make sure that we put them first. We've seen a big internally in terms of cloud adoption. And I think that's also driven by power shortages because the traditional desktop software, although we still have a lot out there, does have issues when it comes to load shedding. And it's difficult to have the power backup to run a mini server or a desktop in your small office. So cloud has been a big push towards that. But government still needs to build the infrastructure around it and make sure that it's viable, as one example. But I think government really has to step up and put first in their thinking and legislation, what they do.
It reminds me of what Jack Ma of Alibaba said to the president when he was first elected on that wave of Ramaphoria back in 2018. And it's that Ramaphoria certainly dimmed over the last few years. But he came here to an investment conference and he implored the government to make SMEs everyday heroes. And he's built this giant in Alibaba. Yes, I know the Communist Party in China has tried to clamp down on him a little bit. But I mean, there was so much insight in that government needs to realize, and to your point, that it is there to create that enabling environment. Get out of the way. It doesn't have to run the business, doesn't have to invest in them. Just get the services working at a local government level and create the environment for businesses to go out and do their thing. Before we wrap up, Pieter, are there any other findings from the survey that you'd like to highlight?
So definitely the percentage of SMBs expecting to keep revenue the same or increasing has increased year over year. It was 66% in 2022 and 73% now. And SMBs experiencing incremental cost challenges over the next 12 months. Only 42% in 2022, 65% in 2023, which shows us definitely that the cost pressure on SMBs is enormous. And SMBs satisfied with their productivity level has increased. So we see that SMBs are becoming more and more productive in the way they do their business, and planning to increase their investment year over year from 42% last year to 47% this year. We would have expected more, but we know where the investment is going, right? So their IT investment or technology investment is not a priority in South Africa, whereas in other markets it is. So that's a shame, but we need to help them with that and see how do we get SMBs to be more productive and to adopt technology quicker, because it does enable them to operate more effectively.
Yeah, and I think the cloud, that you mentioned earlier, the fact that it allows you through load shedding to be a little bit more flexible and is less power, hungry, is going to be a big driver if businesses are looking to build resilience into their business. I was chatting to Chris Erasmus of Amazon Web Services about this, and they've got huge plans for their region in the Western Cape. Again, to link it to your other point, it's because they're finding a government there that wants to work with them. I think so many lessons we can use from that one. Finally, Pieter, any concluding thoughts on this topic?
I think SMBs is a great thermometer for our economy. It's a good temperature check, and we'll continue to do the survey to see not only from a technology standpoint of how they're adopting technology, but I think the survey, and it's quite a broad survey to have more than 1,000 SMBs participate in South Africa on this, is to understand where they're finding challenges. But hopefully this creates results, and we publish the results for the private sector to capitalize on, to see how we can help SMBs. And hopefully someone in government will read this and see what the impact is of the poor services that we deliver in the country and how that affects business. It's not only the man in the street and the public that is affected by this. I strongly believe that the SMBs is a foundation for our economy. And this survey does give us that thermometer check to say, cost is a problem for our SMBs to survive. Although Only a few of them are increasing, 42% increasing their workforce. SMBs is such a fluid machine. It is easier for them to increase their workforce if they have better environments to operate in. So we as a private sector, the large corporates and government have to make that environment for SMBs easier to operate in. So we continue to do that. And this survey really gives us insights into how we also develop our products and create services around that for our SMBs in this economy. Looking forward to next year and see what the difference would be.
Yeah, well, exactly. And that'll be the third year of the survey. You can really start picking out some trends from that as well. And I think just echo your sentiments, Peter. I think absolutely well said about the importance of SMBs. I was at the Linden Market over the weekend and having a look at all the local suppliers, local small entrepreneurs who've got great work ethic, passion and pride for their business. They need all the support they can get to weather this particular storm, and it's coming from all angles at the moment. Thanks so much for joining us today and sharing very valuable insights. It was a pleasure having you on Business Talk.
Thank you, Michael.